This is Black Forest Main Street Parade, inspired by traditional jobs and traditions. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get into the episode to talk you through this wonderful parade build 3 days ahead of the launch of the Parades DLC. Let's get going. And we do begin with the very basics, the layout. And let me just tell you, this worked way better than I expected. So back in March, when I did play this at the Frontier offices, I built a parade myself somewhere off the main street. There was already the presentation park done and dusted, and they had already the parade in place, but they obviously used a super flat terrain. In my case over here, this main street is absurd. It is super wobbly. You can see this actually in the footage. It is like using conforming quite way too often and it is a pain to build, but it worked relatively surprisingly well. I mean, it's been very much just like half an hour or so that I spent putting it in, and that was mostly my stupidity at some points before I understood that with smoothing this is going to go even easier than that. I will also bring you guys a tutorial for the parades, most likely tomorrow, but I'll talk more about that at the end of the video. I also have some really curious and nice things to state, which is going to be very interesting. There will be a special video this week. It's going to be very cool, so make sure to stick with me. It's going to be an interesting one. Very surprising, interesting. Let's put it that way. But yeah, in any case, you can see this on screen, and this is why I left most of it in. It worked relatively simple. Once I got the hang of it, it was super simple. Just like getting a couple of notes and then, you know, switching them on. Sometimes I just did it in the wrong direction, but most likely it just worked super well. I must admit that this is so satisfying to do. Oh, but by the way, do you know what's also very satisfying? The soundtrack. We did get the soundtrack this time around from Frontier, and I am so happy. They yet again kind of did themselves a great job in how they do the soundtrack. It's a very well put together parade soundtrack. I already loved the other ones. Toy Box was incredible, obviously, because I've been part of it with my voice. But no, just joking. Also, Sorcery was really on it. So they have done a fantastic job. A little bit of putting some event points around this area, but I'll get to that at the end of the video. So let's begin with float number 1. I said at the beginning we are doing this based on the traditions and jobs and stuff like that that are very key to Schwarzwald region, Black Forest region in Germany. I could have done more, but like at some point the length of this station just kind of went a little above and beyond. So I may actually try to do something else in the future. In any case, this is number 1. It's called the clock, and there is a very specific way of putting together clocks. It's not like this area isn't like very well known for like watches or so. It's most likely this specific kind of kitchen clock in a specific floral design on a bit of a, it's not even marble. I'm using marble over here because it looks pretty similar to how these typical kind of clocks look like, and I just found this idea very interesting to just begin with that clock at the beginning, because it's kind of so, you know, it's so known to the region, and it just makes so much sense to just open something up with a clock, because it's, you know, it's time for a parade. So that was kind of the idea. And yeah, I know there are some in-game watches and in-game clocks I could have used. However, I just wanted to do one myself, also animate that myself with the platforms, and just kind of create this as best as I could with the new pieces. And just let me just say that, I mean, I did say that already in today's overview video, but it is just beyond me how good the pieces are. Like it's not even close to things they have done in the past. It is just so freaking good. Every single piece makes sense. Every single piece has great flexi-color. Every single piece has finally an adequate component to it, and by that I mean most likely Frontier brought out sets that were having some really cool pieces, but let's say they had like one frame in them, or like let's say a frame, and then they did have like a round frame and a semi-round frame, but it didn't have a rectangular one, or vice versa. Or they brought in a fence, and then they have like a semi-round fence, but not a 90-degree round fence. And all these kind of little bits always kind of annoyed me quite a lot. But now it's actually finally time to say they knocked it out of the park with this set. There are still some little quirks in there where I'm like, okay, why don't you give this just to us as a scenery piece? But that's just like some minor complaints. Most likely, I must say it's so good. But yeah, you can see I'm using quite a lot of different pieces. I'm using some resort sets pieces over here. I'm using some classical ones. I'm using some of the new stuff. Like a lot of things that work super well together. And I'm just kind of trying to mimic this rather... I don't want to call it cringe, but it is somewhat cringe. These clocks, I'm not sure what it is exactly. My mom had one in the kitchen, and I mean, we're not even from the region, and I just always found that thing so ugly. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's kind of an art style that I know a lot of people, especially in the area or like age group of my mom, is in particular something they really tend to like. And this is also why we millennials are so known for like white, clean flats and stuff. It's, yeah. Oh god, that tune is so good. I left it in. I know it's kind of a bit annoying when I talk about the above it, but it's too good to leave out. So let's just vibe a little with that song. That's so good. Okay, anyways, I wanted to talk you through this incredible build here because it is just so good. Let's get this tone in. Oh, it's so good. I could have just played that song instead of just talking over. Anyways, I even made some of the watch face over here with like some Roman numbers. I did in fact not do all of them. I left some out, but I made this intentionally to keep it a bit more clean looking, to be honest. I tried doing this with all of those, but it's just like I wanted to keep it clean, and I think it looks good, and I could imagine that these could also be the times for the parade. Anyways, moving over to the second one, and that is a bit of a more interesting one. So the clock was a bit, straightforward. But this one over here is a bit more special. This is Die Flöße, and that is more than fitting for this DLC, because it essentially means the floaters or the floats. Like in this region, obviously there are also some like rivers might be too much, but there's like a lot of streams and ditches and some rivers, some smaller ones, and back in the day. Because it's also very hilly and so on, these used to be some very good opportunities to carry goods from A to B rather quickly. And so that has been a job where people were just doing exactly this. They were bringing goods from A to B via a float. And that is meant to be done because it's, as I said, it's not a full-grown river everywhere. That would obviously be a lot more easy to do via ship. But no, there is like a lot of little streams and stuff that could be used to still bring stuff, or also people or horses or whatever, from A to B. So really, really cool that they did this in this region, and it's kind of a nice part of the history. And so I decided to put exactly this in. It is just so freaking, fitting in that sense, but I also find it very unseen, and I really like that so much. And it's like I wanted to do a parade that is not straightforward, and I will have a second parade coming up in Hanseatic Dreamland. It'll take some time. I honestly haven't even started it yet. We had quite some good amount of time for the early access, but these parades are so incredibly customizable that it took me way longer to build this parade than I wanted it to be. I also did make sure to just in general have a lot of thought put into it, what I'm doing, so this parade should also make sense in a way and not just look nice. And to be honest, it's rather easy to make these things look nice. It is really, really easy, but I wanted to have something that makes sense and have some effects on it, and this is also why, you're gonna stick with me till the end of the video to hear about what I want to say about this parade. There's a lot more coming, by the way, in case you're listening to this point in time into the episode. Big thanks if you haven't subbed yet. What are you even doing? Have a look if you're subbed or not, and make sure to sub if you haven't already. But also, I have a lot of content coming from you guys. I couldn't stop playing this thing. It's such a pain that I needed to not talk about that for so long, because it just like this pack has a similar effect to me than Planet Zoo 2. Anyways, number 3 is a bit of a rough one. It's the axe. So obviously, next to the Flöße, there's also obviously a lot of different things in the Black Forest, and as it's called, forest for a reason, there's a lot of trees, and as you can see, lumberjack and stuff like that is obviously a lot of things like foresters and you know, all these kind of foresters camps and blah blah. There's like a lot of stuff goes into that, and the lumber camps and stuff in these regions are very well known, and a lot of wooden craftsmanship and stuff comes from that region, which the fourth float will actually showcase a bit more. So there is even a story about this. Now this is going to be a bit of a shorter one, and the whole idea is that we have a floating axe over here, and this floating axe is chopping down that tree. We have a couple of effects going on, and then the tree is knocking over and it's just standing up again as an effect that is just reappearing, and there will be also some cool stuff for nighttime eventually. But yeah, as I said, I'm very, very happy with it. I'm very happy with how that turned out. It's looking really cool, and it was quite a bit of work to get it done. But like, the story is that you know, you have, I mean, technically I need to change the order of the parade a little bit, but there's a reason why I didn't. Now we start with that clock, which is giving the intro to the traditions of that region. Then we have the Flösa, which is kind of a bit of a logistics area, and that is then where we meet the lumber area over here, where obviously one of the goods is being produced, and these goods will then be taken to create something, and that is going to be then the next float we're going to talk about in a bit. As I said, I think I personally was very, very surprised when I looked into my footage, and I spent over 10 hours building only the floats. Like, that made me go a little bit shocked, because I have done a couple of designs that just didn't make it into it, and I couldn't make blueprints for you guys yet, because for our early access the blueprints have been deactivated. You may or may not know why that is. Certain things have gone wrong prior to this pack, so I do understand why. So I haven't made these as blueprints, but all of my floats will obviously become blueprints, so you can get them. So the next float, by the way, is also kind of a mini corporation in kind of some way, but I'll get to that. So it also, as I said, I think the most important thing about these floats is that they tell a bit of a story, and I didn't just want to make a parade that is, again, as I said earlier, just nice looking and out of place somehow and just kind of mimics the pieces. I just wanted to do something that fits the region, and that was harder than I thought it was. For the Hanseatic Dreamland, it was a bit of a more easy way to go, with like the naval theme overall is a bit easier to go for, but we'll talk about that in obviously a live stream tonight. So if you guys fancy having a look around, obviously we are live streaming tonight, and we are doing a bit of work. I'm not entirely sure where we will be, but anyways, I'll hope to see you over there on Twitch or on YouTube. Let's move on to number 4, and that is the cuckoo, or the Kuckucksuhr, as we say in German, the cuckoo clock. And that is, I mean, they're the biggest working cuckoo clock in the world is in the Black Forest, and it's super famous. And then also they have a huge amount of manufacturers that do these kind of clocks and so on, and they are mostly made out of wood, obviously, and some other mechanisms in there are not wood. You get the idea. But like, again, our story is kept on being told, and honestly, I also made it that the last float is going to be a little secret here. It's not too crazy. It's not like it's not meant to be a secret just to keep you in. It kind of is, but it's not like super fancy. It's kind of cool though. And yeah, this cuckoo clock over here was rather impressive, because it was a lot of work. It has been a bit of a hassle to find a design that I wanted to go for, because there are like very, how to say, artistically crazy great looking cuckoo clocks. My grandma had one, and this was a huge one. It was, I think, it was almost like 1.80 meters tall, standing tall or so, like these typical ones that, I don't know if you know this kind of kid series called Heidi, but like in this there's also like the family Sesemann, and this family used to having one huge one in the basement, or actually in the first floor, but they have, it's like basically in the entrance area, which is whatever, it's somewhere in the house it is. And yeah, kind of a similar one my grandma had. So but I wanted to go a bit more for these kind of funny looking ones that go a bit more into the playfulness, because I kind of find them, the more I grow up and I can deal with a bit of cringe here and there, I find them a bit more interesting. I would never ever have one at home, at least not now, and hopefully not the next coming 2 decades. But I just find them interesting. And obviously, craftsmanship-wise, they are freaking nice. And also, what's funny is, oh boy, did the small town set help out over here. This doesn't look anywhere near Main Street. That is, it goes to show how versatile these things is. This is looking exactly the style I was going for with our Black Forest region over here. It's this semi-alpine. It's not really alpine. It's not like, you know, Alps kind of idea, but it's alpine in a way the Black Forest offers. And, you know, it's not mountainish over there again, but it still has that typical kind of German Fachwerk in it. And then mixed up with a more traditional kind of ornaments in the wooden area and so on. So kind of lovely stuff, to be honest. I really dig that. It's super, super nice looking. And it's also very fun to look at. So yeah, that float looks really cool. As you can see, it's growing now. Using some of the Christmas pieces, I absolutely have to get too much scaling. At this point, I'm like super annoyed of how some pieces just cannot be scaled smaller than like 50% or so. It's just super annoying. I don't know what that is. But yeah, Frontier, could you just get rid of it? Oh yeah, I also did add for some realism some actual staircases here and there where technically the entertainers could walk up to. I was thinking about if I should talk about that, if this is a miss, but it's not. Like, I'm fully fine that the entertainers just like spawn on it, because honestly, them climbing up there and actually going onto the floats would be so nonsense, because that would always happen in backstage anyway, so it's completely pointless. So the only point would be if they would transition from like walking and on the parade while the parade, but that's rather never happening. Anyways, let's get into the game. I am so incredibly excited to bringing this to you with the little excuse that we are not done yet. I'll get to that in a minute. These are our final float designs, and if I do just quickly click on test and we are going to hit pause, we are going to see all of them in action. So over here, the first one, as I said, is our famous clock. This one looks pretty cool, but again, I will finish them all. It is not the finished version. I just did not have enough time to, well, perfect it. I'll get to that. It's a lot more fun than you think it is. Now, the second one, the Flöser, looks really cool. I put a couple more clutter on it to make it a bit more finished looking, you know, really cool. We've got that dude walking on top. I mean, it's not fitting, but then again, it is fitting. So yeah, I thought to have that entertainer here. Then we have the next one. Same kind of guy, because makes sense somehow. This is the tree chomp animation and actually has that animation. We have a row of cosmic cow, and that is for a very good reason, because in that cuckoo clock over here there sits a cosmic cow just waiting for its action to happen. Let's see if it actually happens. You should have seen that at the teaser maybe already on. Let's see if it comes. There's just that little break over here with the steam coming up, and then there you go, cuckoo. There it happens. Big thanks and shout out to Taggy3D, who has done the custom animation for me. And even though it seems super simple, it is not. There's quite a lot going on. Little shout out again to Taggy. There you can see there's a lot of sliders doing it. I mean, for Taggy himself, that should be a rather simple animation. For me, that is quite something. I do kind of understand the physics behind, but to be honest, it is a little bit more complicated than it should be. Having timers on sliders would go a long way to finally, be able to do that. I may poke Frontier about that, specifically now with Parade. That would make our life a lot more simple. And then that last Parade wagon over here is a miniature version of Schwarzwald. It's not really Schwarzwald, is it? Because we don't really have that many tiny trees in here. And yet again, I need too much scaling, I guess. Yeah, and I do have to put some of the skirts lower. That is definitely something I do. A couple of things sticking out, but I do need them, so I will eventually make that float go all the way to the ground so you don't see that one. Anyhow, that's about it. You can see a couple of sequences that are tagged to the different cars and trains. They are all in this hall over here. And now as for the layout, this whole thing comes out. I will have to look into the sliders again to making that door over here custom. It needs to slide back, stay there for a while, come back, and then so it does fit in between the interval of all the different trains, or it stays open until the entire train is through. I gotta see which of the two versions I go for. I do believe the better version would be the go in, wait until everyone is through, and then go through. Gotta fix that later, because as of now, I'm just gonna do quickly run that, and you can see the first door is actually opening pretty much in time. So you can see it's rather close, but it's making it. You know, there you can see the first float is going through here perfectly fine. But then that door is coming back, as you can see over here, and the next one has theoretically already activated it, but it's too late, too little, and then, you know, that one go through, and the next one should work again. There you go, the next one works. So every second does work, so it's a bit of an odd one. But yeah, so this is that, and you can see it's moving rather nicely here along the main street. I must admit also, there are also a couple of pieces hidden away, so maybe you can see this one, this little confetti or whatnot going on. There's a lot more planned and a lot more I have done as testing I took out for this showcase over here. There's a couple of things I need to do, a couple of things I haven't done yet for the atmosphere. I really want to present you a really, really nice little you know, parade at the time. It's not like I don't want to make it half-baked, you know, and this is why I'm not showing you the final version, just like a work in progress over here. There's also a couple of other things I did that I haven't made it into the time lapse, but you can see I did a couple of things with the brand new set, some more park decorations, because I needed to rearrange this entry area here a little bit. We used to having this tree basically somewhere in the middle. I did reorganize that to have a bit more space for the parade to make that turn over here. I didn't even test, like I thought maybe test if they can cross its own path, but I think they can't. And I didn't want to go through here because I like that planter where it is quite a bit. Just put a couple more trees in everywhere to make it all look more lush. I think this is what I learned lately again, to get more lush in general. So we will have a couple more trees in this park anyways. The only thing is I didn't want to destroy too many sidelines here, especially from that building here, so not too many more trees in the center. But yeah, that about it is pretty nice. And if we go further into here, you can see I added a nice little forest sign here, just next to the coaster. I put a couple of fireworks hidden in that little area here. I still need to fix that over here. The good thing about this is I need to fix the entire railing, because whenever there's a parade, people still move up to this side. So what I'm willing to do is I'm willing to move that entire wall a little bit to the back side and get rid actually of the additional path over here, so people do not really queue up here anyhow, so to clean that off. And there's a whole bunch of things like missing in here, so I want to do a bit more floor graphics, I want to do a bit more speakers everywhere, so just in general up the main street. And I have a couple of tricks going on, guys, for the event point that I didn't want to mention quite yet. I need to do this, and what I also have to do, I have to put a couple more shops in, even though they may just be fake at the beginning, but we need more traffic on Main Street so that people actually go in. I mean, we do have a souvenir shop right over here, you know, that's kind of nice. They can actually go in if they wanted to, so there is a bit of souvenir shoppery going on over here. People can also almost be kicked over with the coaster. Got to fix that as well. But yeah, there's really not that much going on. I mean, obviously in here there's quite a bit more going on. We've got another souvenir shop. We may actually add, we do have a restaurant here, we do have the arcades here, so actually there is quite some stuff going on Main Street, but it all cramps together at this area. But to be perfectly honest, if I were a guest, I would also stand here, because that's where you see the most of the parade, and that's realistically like the area where you would go to. I would just love to have them stand also somewhere off the track. Maybe they do fix this in the future, now they see what people create. That would be cool. But in any case, I am insanely happy with those things. Insanely happy, because this is just too freaking good. Anyhow, that should be it for today. I have a lot more content planned over the coming days for you guys. I mixed a couple of things in, so expect this one to return maybe around the weekend, maybe a little later even. I will try to make this parade look really cool, so the next episode will actually be a pure Main Street parade day and nighttime experience. So if you're looking forward to that one, lock this into the channel. Make sure to sub to the channel if you haven't already, because that one is pretty good. And now, as a new kind of service at the end of the video, I'm going to put you in a couple of hints to what you are going to expect from the next video. So hopefully that's going to help you decide whether you want to watch the next video or not. So in any case, if you like that little addition, please let me know in the comments down below. Bit of service for you. Hope you enjoyed that one. Now that's my part for now. Thank you so much for watching. I talk to you in the next one. Until then, bye.